My name is Peter Douglas, and this is a presentation of my review and critique of Jason M. Silveira's Idea Bank, Portfolios and Assessment in Music Classes. This was published in the Music Educators Journal, Volume 99, Number 3, pages 15 through 24. Just a little overview of the article. Silveira's thesis of the article is that authentic assessment can be achieved specifically through a music portfolio providing, quote, students the chance to both learn what they can do now and what they can achieve, end quote. Education reform is known to have caused the popularity of portfolio assessment, where portfolio assessment can measure knowledge, problem solving, and critical thinking often better than other types of assessment. What is a portfolio? The standard definition is, quote, a purposeful collection of a student's work that exhibits the student's efforts, progress, and achievements in one or more areas, end quote. The effective portfolios, according to Silveira, include, quote, purposeful selection of material, student self-reflection, and criteria for judging student work, end quote. Materials within the portfolio are known as artifacts and, quote, can include any number of assignments or creative tasks the students have completed in or outside of class, end quote. In portfolio assessment, both students and teachers play a significant role. Students learn to excel at self-assessment. Silveira demonstrates the need for a holistic view of the nature of music education. While attendance and performance skills are important, Silveira contests that, quote, by experiencing all aspects of music, students are allowed the opportunity to fully understand what music can mean for them, end quote. He proposes 3 aspects that are key to the holistic music education: performing, creating, and responding, which when included in a music portfolio, quote, students can provide a demonstration of their musical growth over time, end quote. The first skill to include in the portfolio is performing. Perhaps the most beneficial method to capturing performance within a music portfolio is recording. Recording allows, quote, students, parents, and administrators to see the music is both a process and a product. And it also allows students to, quote, document growth and improvement of both performance skills and self-evaluative skills over time, end quote. The second skill used in a portfolio is creating or creativity. There are 2 methods of documenting creativity according to Silveira. First is improvisation, where students begin thinking in music. These improvisations can be recorded and self-evaluated by students. The second is students' reflection on their own composing and arranging. Next, the final skill, third skill, is responding. It covers 4 components. Music analysis is important to students reviewing their own composition and can also be related in playing their own role in an ensemble setting. Music evaluation includes, quote, not only the technical aspects of music, form, key, orchestration, etc., but also the emotive response, end quote. Self-assessment ties into music evaluation and usually happens after a student's performance and or reaction to rehearsal recordings. The final 2 components of responding, relating music to the arts and relating music to history, showcase students, quote, creativity in connecting what they learn in music class to other school subjects, end quote. The final section in the Silveira article suggests what is suggested of implementing the portfolio skills. First is logistics, paper-based or electronic, where they will be stored and making the teacher maintain the portfolio initially, then handing it to the student. Second is the instructional steps, goals of the program, place goals in the 3 skill categories, assignments used for these goals, developing rubrics, collect artifacts for the portfolio, have various tasks over time to obtain reliable measures of the progress, and beginning all of these steps gradually. Third is evaluation. Formative assessment by having, quote, students accumulate artifacts in the body of evidence accompanied by the assessment rubrics, end quote. Summative assessment in which, quote, each domain, performing, creating, responding, is evaluated using a domain-specific rubric to determine proficiency within each domain, end quote. And, quote, the entire portfolio is evaluated based on the domain-specific rubrics using a compensatory rubric to determine if proficiency was achieved, end quote. Silveira concludes that the portfolio, quote, and the subsequent evaluation process helps to illustrate a holistic music experience, which in turn represents a number of meaningful music experiences provided for the students, end quote. It can also, quote, serve as a glimpse into the music curriculum and illustrate the holistic nature of the subject matter to a wide variety of stakeholders, end quote. I also looked at the Thomas W. Goolsbee article, Portfolio Assessment for Better Evaluation. It supports the need for the 3 skills included in Silveira's article, performing, creating, and responding. Goolsbee highlights how these 3 skills are reflected in the music content standards of the National Standards for Music Education. Goolsbee also lists some disadvantages to the portfolio which are not mentioned in the Silveira article. The cost of portfolio assessment compared to computer scored tests, excuse me. The teacher trained needed, there's teacher training needed for this specific type of skilled assessment portfolio, and categorization of students in their typical versus best work. These are some of the disadvantages to portfolio assessment. I also looked at the Terry Underwood article, The Consequences of Portfolio Assessment, a case study. Underwood's article supports Silveira in that portfolio study is also a means of developing independent study/assessment skills in individual students. Underwood describes the students in the alternative assessment system versus the customary assessment system improved in, quote, their capacity to set challenging personal goals, which registered a significantly high level of task or learning orientation, end quote. Learning to make strong personal goals is a skill that promotes lifelong learning, according to Underwood. And I agree. For me, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages in the Silveira article. I agree that portfolio assessment can be assessment that helps create a more holistic music student. A holistic music student needs to not only be able to play their instrument, but also develop the skills to have intelligent conversations with other musicians, and in the end, be able to secure a job which will no doubt use knowledge beyond the playing of their instrument. Portfolio assessment is also useful for schools because these artifacts and portfolios can serve as advocacy tools for keeping music education in schools where many decide that it should be cut. It is beneficial for all 3 parties involved: students, teachers, and stakeholders. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.